All right, hello internet. So I wanted to. So what is this, right? This is me making the game, right? I'm making Pet Game, currently called Maslow's Pets, but I don't like that name. Here it is live. And rather than showing you a programming thing this time, and so I think this will be a much shorter video, I thought I would go over how I make graphics. So the Candy Maker's cookbook doesn't have a graphic, although I'm going to test it out here. So this is my local machine. This is the live website. But anyway, I'm going to draw a graphic and also probably just show you an existing graphic that maybe has different things going on or something. I don't know. I made like a soup bowl recently that had some interesting layering, I thought. I was like, oh, I should have recorded that, but it's too late. So anyway, whatever, never mind, let's make a book. So this is the program that I use to do most of my graphic stuff. It's called Inkscape. It's free. I've actually used, the program I have the most experience with is something called Fireworks, which I'm going to open up to show you. But it's a bit old. Sorry, I opened on the other monitor. So it used to be owned by Macromedia, and then Adobe bought Macromedia. That was like so long ago, it's not even relevant anymore. But they're very similar programs in that they're all about drawing with vectors. And once you've drawn a shape like this and decided, you know, oh, I want to now fill it in or whatever, you're not stuck with whatever you've done, right? You've got all these points, you can move them around, you can change the curves, and that's really good for me because I secretly suck at drawing, and whatever, not a secret. So this sort of thing is really useful for me because I can then you know, tweak whatever I'm doing. So I'm very familiar with Fireworks. I know how to use it really well. I've been using it for a long time. It's how I did all the graphics for SciPets. The reason I stopped using it is that it's never had good support for doing SVGs. So all you can export is a bitmappy sort of image, you know, a traditional, here here's an example. Here's a picture of my cat Mia, right, where you zoom in and it gets blurry or pixely or whatever, depending on how things go, right? What I wanted to do, and once it's made, right, you can't change anything about it. Like if you wanted to edit this image, you would have to open it up in an image editor and start tweaking it. The advantage of an SVG is that, one, it can be way smaller because rather than having to store like, here's white pixel, here's white pixel, here's white pixel, here's white, blue, 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 you know, little faded versions of blue. All it has to store is like, at this coordinate, here's a point. At this coordinate, here's a point. At this coordinate, here's a point, and it's got some like curve properties on this side and some curve properties on that side. And it saves all this to a text file, which compresses really well. It's easy to edit by hand if you need to. I mean, I can show you what one looks like. Well, maybe I'll do that for the book when I make it, the book icon. But so it's much smaller, and the other thing is, even though here it looked like when I zoomed in, it looks like an image, again, that's because Fireworks is really designed to export images that are flat images, even though it's this vector thing. In SVG, on the other hand, we can see the same thing here. I'll draw like a similar shape. And the UI, I don't know, I'm just used to the other UI a little more. But anyway, it doesn't matter how much you zoom in, you're never going to see pixels because this thing is designed to export SVGs, vector images, scalable vector graphics. I know what that acronym is. Last video I was talking about not knowing what ORM exactly stands for. But anyway, so yeah, this scales infinitely. And it's actually nice because Fireworks knows you're going to export an image. They're not lying to you. There's like, yeah, you're going to have this pixel, right? This is what that pixel is going to look like because they're expecting you to export to a flat image, but this isn't. So anyway, so you've got the size because there's many fewer data points are required to render this image. The other advantage, as I was mentioning, with a bitmap image like the cat picture, right? You can't edit that on the fly. With the SVGs you can, and I've taken advantage of that. Let me do like a private window here so I'm not logged in. When we create an account, right, we can edit it on the fly on the web because, again, it's not a fixed image, it's just some data about some shapes, and then you can just modify that, right? You can just choose a different fill color. There are disadvantages to SVG, and I guess the other advantage is that, again, you can zoom infinitely and you're never going to see pixels. I mean, you might see that I've actually done things intentionally sloppy, right? That's part of the aesthetic of the game for the pets, I don't know, as established by SciPets. But also you'll just see, oh, it's not a dot, it's like a weird square because I didn't draw out a circle or something. So I mean, there's still quality concerns. And, you know, I can't control exactly what it looks like on a small size. If I had made icon versions as fixed images, I would have a lot more control. I could like hand draw it to still look, you know, crisp and still have outlines of a certain width and everything. So there's some control you give up by using SVG, but there's in other ways control that you gain, this ability to change colors and all these things, right? And I really wanted to do that. I wanted to let people choose any color, and also not knowing the screen size that people are going to be on. Is it going to be mobile? Is it going to be desktop? Do you want to play zoomed in? I wanted to allow these things to just scale and not care and not look blurry or bad in that way. Again, maybe in other ways, if you zoom in enough, you're like, oh, these dots are actually squares. That's kind of weird, right? But whatever. I think that's a small price to pay. So yeah, that's why. So anyway, again, Fireworks, I know it. I'm way more comfortable with it. I'm still kind of getting used to the different UI of Inkscape, and I think that just objectively, Inkscape has made some decisions that are worse, but I don't know. It's hard for me to separate when it is. I mean, there's just things where it's like, it's more clicks to do some simple tasks, and there's lots of mysterious, yeah, they kind of tell you eventually. But anyway, so let's make a book. So let's make a book icon, and we'll see how this goes. So I'm actually going to start with an existing book. So let's find, I liked the Grandpa Root Secrets. Sorry, and that's opened on the other window. Grandpa Secrets. So I don't know, we could take apart this image, but instead what I want to do, I just want to copy this, and I'm going to use this as a base. I'll get rid of some of the parts, like we don't need the Grandpa Root. I kind of actually do like that. Oh, it's interesting. Well, when you save it, it ends up grouping things in interesting ways. They're making some optimizations that, you know, according to rules that I'm not aware of. But I do like this kind of split color book thing, so I think I'm going to go with that. And just to be a little different, I'm going to resize it a little. So I'll select these 2 points here and, you know, just grab it down, and then maybe we can put like a picture of the candies. Or sorry, yeah, this is the candy making book. So I'll put like some candies up here, and or maybe like a heading, some candies. We can pretend this is a table or something. I don't know, something like that. But I do want a different color. So actually, let's go with the table thing. I'll make it brown. And for the fill color here, I want to use the same color but make it darker for a little darkening effect. This was black. Okay, I try not to use black lines or straight white colors for anything. Not because I have experience drawing, but that's because I've heard artists say that that's what you should do. You shouldn't ever use hard black or hard white. So I try to follow that rule. And again, like I don't know, I don't feel like I have the experience to say like, yeah, I've really noticed it myself. Like, I don't know, I use black lines when like in Mysterious Space, I think it uses hard lines for everything and it doesn't bother me. So I don't know, but some people have said, so whatever. So anyway, there's our book base, and now I will find the candy graphics and put those on. So I guess I'll find some nice gummies. We'll find, which one of these do we want? I think the slices are nice. So we'll take the yellow slices. Again, it's going to open on the wrong monitor. But I'll get like one of these. Whoops. Oh, wrong cursor. That's another thing that seems weird to me. Anyway, I'll have one of those. I'll position it later. And then the other one I want to do one of the hard candies. Probably a different color. Like the blue one is probably nice. And it's not so complex. Because when I shrink these down, like these circles are just going to go away. I'm going to shrink these down on the cover. So this is just blocky shapes, so I'll use that. Why did it open not in the same window? All right. Cool, so I've copied that. Let's go ahead and close these. And I'm just going to put these on the thing. Rotating, I did recently find, here we go. I hadn't been using this before. They had a different way to rotate that I was using instead. Ooh, maybe it would be more fun to have it like raining candies. Is that a thing we could do? I might, whoops, I think that changes the center of rotation. I'm honestly not sure. Yeah, also this thing drives me crazy. Like tries to snap points, which in some cases you want because it's nice to like line things up. Other cases I don't want that at all. And I think it's like if I hold control, that forces me to drag in a straight line. Okay, shift. I swear though it's not. It depends on the context. So shift lets me drag without snapping. Otherwise it drags with snapping. But there's other times where I've tried holding various buttons and it doesn't seem to work. So I don't know. But anyway, so let's get some gummies. Maybe I should just do a lot of gummies, you know, or several just lined up on it. Well, nah, there's not much room. And again, these are going to be small, so I'm zoomed in a lot. But I need to remember, when you look at the book, it's going to look like this, right? So I can't like squeeze on a ton of things that are going to look good at this scale because no one's going to look at the item at this scale. So maybe this is a good thing. And also, I kind of want to get a piece of corn because it also teaches you how to make corn. How did that get separated? See, now I've like done something weird that I don't even know how. Okay. Oh, right. So what was it? Shift. Great. So the other thing I want to do, I want all the lines to be the same thickness. So after the fact, I come in here. When you scale the image down, it scales down the thickness of the lines as well. And actually, I have a lot more control over that here than I did in Fireworks. In Fireworks, like 1 pixel was the smallest you could get. So that doesn't look super great, obviously. I think, well, you know, we'll go ahead. We'll do this. Well, I'll do the white in the middle. And there are other ways. If I was doing more complicated layering, I would do this white rectangle in a different way, but this is fine for this. This is just simple straight lines, so I'm not worried about it. And if it's a little bit outside the line, who cares? This is way too dramatic. There are other ways to shorten these. I could do 1, but yeah, that like truncates it too much, so I'm gonna make this corner come in, and then I want this to line up. So the other thing you can do is if you hold down Alt and use the arrows, you can move these very slowly. Or actually, now that I know, so let me try it. Does Shift dragging this work? No, see, that makes a corner there. What if I start dragging and then hold Shift? Okay, now we don't snap. Maybe that just is what confused me at another time. No, drag, now hold Shift. Okay, drag, now hold Shift. All right. And this is a little awkward, and it kind of seems like, let me go a little further. That's okay. Let's make it be the solid blue, but I do want it to come out a little further. Hi, Mia. That's the cat. She's hanging out. And now, since I've moved those around, these don't line up. I mean, honestly, at this scale, right? Like I can see this because I'm zoomed in, but again, at this scale, no one's going to notice. Okay, and then that's probably fine. I think, again, because it's zoomed out and it's going to be hard to see the distinct lines, I'm just going to put fewer lines so that people can actually see them. I think that's fine. I don't know. I don't like that the yellow blends into this brown, so I might actually end up changing this color because we need those to stand out. I think purple. Purple's not bad. Let's do this at the actual zoom level that people are going to experience it at and see what happens here. Let's scroll through the colors. Red doesn't seem much better in terms of... I think purple was pretty good. I would like a lighter purple though. Let's do that. It kind of blends, when it becomes pale, then it kind of blends with the... Maybe I just got to do, I don't know, maybe I just can't do what I wanted to do. Or we could do gray, which is more boring. Huh. I don't know, I'm not super happy about the candy on the table look now. I don't know, oops. Oh my gosh. Also, it does that sometimes. It just like renders funny unless you zoom or do something else to change the rendering. Like, did you see how it, I don't know, sorry, Shift drag. You know what, maybe I don't like this table look after all. Maybe, never mind the table look. Let's get rid of that. Let's make the whole book be a white, well, I don't know, I'll change the color. But I'm gonna put like a circle in the middle. And this needs to be rotated. And I'll try putting the things like inside. That's like what you would do for a portrait or something, right? Oh, for some reason it has a default opacity. I think it remembers the last time I did a circle, I wanted it to be opaque or something. So page up will bring things up and down layers, so we can bring things up to the top. And then, I don't know, is this going to be weird to show? I mean, if that's the case, it really just needs to be one. Now are we just doing one candy? I mean, in which case we choose the one that actually looks like a candy. But now I've gone back to the circle look, and I really wanted to try something different. Okay, I'm undoing. I want a thing. I I want the thing that I want. I kind of like, again, like I like having something, like I could just do a solid color, but I feel like that never looks as good. The fill, right, we had like a brownish fill, right, but that was blending with the orange, but maybe not like this. A khaki. I don't know. Am I being too picky? Is blue maybe not the right color? I'm wondering if I should just start from the beginning and just do like sugar, or I mean, we could put this up at the top instead. Let's try that right here. Let's not delete that after all. Just kind of put it off the canvas. So let's try a different thing. Let's make like a top bit that will contain the candy. I'll rotate it a little. Well, I like things being at an angle. You know, something else I could do? Maybe, I think it would be too busy though, again, at this distance, but I was wondering if it could be fun to like have it like it's a window and you're seeing a bunch of candies overlaid on top of each other. That will get a little tricky because I can't have things going out too far. Like, there are ways to punch holes into shapes, which I can do. I mean, let's do that. So I'm going to copy paste this white because I'm going to want that in the background. Also, I just noticed that this has the wrong color from the previous color of the book. Okay, and then this should punch a hole in that. Object, sorry, paths, take the difference. The problem with the difference is then it, okay, hold on, sorry, I need to do this slightly differently. So I need to have this on top, but not with a fill. And then the one that does have a fill, we're going to take off the stroke, and then we're going to punch a hole into that one. But in that case, we really can bring this out, and we do want to bring it out because we want to make sure that we punch out everywhere. All right, path, take the difference. And then this white square is going to be in the background, and we can make this be a little bigger. And put it in the background by pressing page down until it gets there. Okay. And now we can put these like that, right? Now they're in like a little, again, like a little window, so they can be behind. But this is the danger, is that they would still poke out behind these other things, so I might have to do some trimming of some sort. But what I'm wondering now is, like, could I do a thing where I just have like a ton of candy all overlapped, and it's like, whoa, candy, like candy explosion kind of a deal. So let's see, let's get some other candies in here and see what that looks like. So let me get more of the gummies. Yeah, the blues and the reds for sure. Let's get the red candies, which is going to open on the other monitor for some reason. And I realized that I kind of skipped over, so let me show you how some of this stuff is put together. So we have this. This is acting as the fill for the bottom of the book, and it's behind this frame, right, that's just sitting on top. So previously, this was a solid rectangle filled with yellow, and I was covering it. Ooh, what's this part? Oh, that's just the white square. Things are just overlapping funny. Anyway, so we have these layers of objects, and it doesn't show here. This is what on Fireworks, I still don't know where to view this in Inkscape, but in Fireworks you can instantly get a list of all the objects and it shows them in the order they are. That has to be somewhere in this program. I just don't know where. But so it's very clear. You can see, okay, and it gives you a little preview. So you're like, okay, there's that brown rectangle. It's below that large frame, and so you get a very clear picture of where the various items are. But here, I don't know where that lives. So this is a mistake I know I've done on a lot of older ones. I need to merge these two. Yeah, when you draw the shapes in particular ways, sometimes the let's ungroup. Sometimes the points, what looks like one point, is actually 2 points. They're just right on top of each other, and that can cause some weird effects. So I've learned to identify that, and here, I'll just actually use this one. I mean, this is kind of fun on its own, almost. I don't know where I want, maybe, oops, yeah, drag something funny now. It's weird. I don't see. There's just still things where I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Sorry, let's make the stroke width 1 on this guy. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll make the thing be on top. Shift. I don't know. That's kind of fun, right? Got like a little candy splaying out thing going on. Shift. I'm glad I learned that shifting. Hi, Mia. Mia really wants to come up on my lap. Okay. She's scared because vacuuming was happening not long ago, but now she's happy because vacuuming stopped. Yeah, this isn't really the effect I was expecting, but I'm gonna go with it. So the only other thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tighten up the space here. So I'll bring these up and then pull these points up for my little window, make the little window smaller. And then the text for the title, I'll do like, it's called Candy Maker's Cookbook or something. I'm just gonna, I don't worry about the word count, honestly. And once again, we're getting weird snapping to points. Shift. But I don't know, if it's a long title, sorry, Mia. Just had to put it on the ground. All right, so yeah, let's do, I don't know, we can honestly can probably use the same thing as put underneath. No one's gonna really notice. All right, that's the Candy Maker's Cookbook title, and I will make it slightly not solid. Candy Maker's Cookbook. I don't know, is that good? Brown is kind of a lame color for candy making, isn't it? I don't know, it's a different kind of thing. I'm cool with it. I do wonder, do I want any kind of like separator? This is where the snapping is actually useful, right? Like, do I want any effect like that? Or is that, I don't know, let's see what that looks like. Makes it look too much, I don't know. Well, let me try something else. I kind of wonder if this background here, the white should instead be like a pale blue of some kind. Whoops. Some kind of pale color. Brown is such a weird, I don't know, I'm starting to doubt the brown. It's not very good either. I don't know, you know, I'm going to stick with the brown. And then I'm almost like, should these be reversed? Should the window actually be on the bottom with the text on top? I don't know. Now I want to look at books of mine. I'm like, is it reasonable to put the title in a weird middle part of the book cover? Yeah, I've got a book discovering the universe where the book's all the way on the bottom. And you got a bunch of universe on the top. And here's Present at the Future, where the text is in the middle and there's a bunch of red text underneath that says a bunch of stuff. Well, you know what? Let's copy that kind of aesthetic. So let's go with that. So that is kind of funny to have. I don't know. That's a thing books do. We'll put some more text underneath, and I'll make it smaller in the end. Trying to get a variety of lengths. To make things not all be the same, and then it seems that we've center justified our text, so let's do that. And this is a little wacky in terms of the straightness of the lines, but honestly I'm not super worried about it. But having said that, I'm doing it anyway, so clearly some sort of minor OCD feelings are compelling me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I usually try to make everything be the same width. I just don't want to get into weird details, but you can see down here I did like a thinner line because I wanted to give the idea of the pagey stripiness. I'm going to try doing a thinner one here. I'm going to make it red because that's what color it was on the book cover I happened to look at. Although I kind of like white now that I'm looking at it. And because I made these things, no. Snapping. Let's do this. Alright. But I'm going to want to pull these in toward each other. Okay. I don't know. And then I do feel like it needs to be rotated just a couple degrees to line up with the one above. Honestly, that's probably fine. And then I'll make this be a little transparent as well. And now it's like it's got more text. Maybe, I don't know. You know, it's probably fine. I don't know. I feel like I should tighten this up for some reason. And then all this stuff can go just underneath, maybe? I don't know. That's the thing a book would do. Does that look weird and busy? I don't know. You can kind of tell that these aren't exactly lined up straight. Or is that just me? Am I seeing things because the above shapes are causing some sort of optical illusion? I don't know, is that reasonable? Let's put this on the bottom, actually. And maybe, actually, maybe I'll justify it differently. I'm just playing around. I don't know, like these sorts of details, like do you need them? I don't know. They give a look. I like it. I don't know, it does something. Also, I'm going to do one more thing with the title. I'm going to, sure, do whatever you want for now. I'm going to make, so this is like Candy Maker's Cookbook, right? Huh. Probably shouldn't have the of thing. Candy Makers is a long word. It also has a hyphen in it. I swear I don't usually pay this much attention. I don't know. Candy Maker's Cookbook. Stop your snapping. Okay, and I almost wonder if I should make it a little bigger. Wah, that's too big. Yeah, let's go for 2.5. I don't know. And okay, we got a thick title, and then some little stuff on the bottom. Is this a book? The background is really weird. I do feel a little wonky about this part. Let me try without that. Does that look better to me? I mean, that's another thing where I could make it thinner. Just enough to give a line. I'm okay with that if it... Okay, I'm actually going to make it a little thicker. But I also want it to be a little lighter in color. Ooh, and we have to put it below the frame now. There we go. I don't know. I think this is the Candy Maker's Cookbook with some sort of nonsense. I'm curious now, what does this one say? From evolution to nanotechnology, candid and controversial conversations on science and nature. Wow. So we can imagine that it says something similarly provocative on the title of this book cover. And I guess this is a book. I have now made a book. The only other thing I'm going to do, now that I'm done with the book, is I am going to rotate it, because all the books that I've done so far have the same angle. So I just want to rotate it. Let's do 45 degrees that way. That didn't have the effect I wanted because the little shadow of the... I don't know, because I did this now, I got to move this thing. Ungroup. Oh, that is already ungrouped. Move it. Okay. Okay. And then these little points just get dragged, and I think it should snap helpfully for me. Oh, kind of helpfully. With the shift dragging. All right. And then this part, yeah, is doing a thing. We need to, oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. I didn't realize. Okay. So let's ungroup that. That didn't feel as ungrouped as I would like. Ungroup again. There we go. All right. Select that guy. All right. Oh my God. There's something else that I feel like, something about, again, I would be very curious to like open up Fireworks, because I feel like in Fireworks it just works. And I don't know if they're doing something where it's like, if it's selected and you're clicking and dragging, we assume that's what you want, or, you know, like, I don't know. So there's weird little things like that, oops, where something about Fireworks, they've just done it right, you know, and I don't know, and this program hasn't. But this one is free, and it does SVGs beautifully. I mean, the alternative, if you wanted to pay for software, would be to use Illustrator, which is sorry, okay, I think what I actually want is just to do that kind of deal, right? Let's add another point in the middle there. And then we don't need these individual points. Anyway, so yeah, you could get Illustrator, and Illustrator is the thing that Adobe has always had that does the vectors, and I'm sure exports to SVGs super happily. And whoops, is probably, you know, has those funny little extra quality of life things. There's like, oh, someone actually uses this program on a daily basis and thought about problems like this and solved them. So the reason I'm grabbing this point up, so I just noticed that you can see it like on the left there, you can see the line is coming in, and it just was coming in slightly at an angle. So I'm just pulling it up so that it hides that whole thing behind there. And that seems to mean that over here we need to move this up. Whoops. And also those funny rendering issues are like, right, again, like it's not even an issue in Fireworks. Although, having said that, I do recall some interesting rendering things on Fireworks, but not nearly this frequent. Okay, and the other thing for this, like, you know, the pages, I need to continue this line because now we've got a different angle. We're not looking at the, there we go. Oh, that's kind of unfortunate. It'll be fine. Okay, so the book is at a different angle now. I just wanted, again, all the books that I've done so far are like rotated to the left, so I just wanted to rotate this one to the right to, I don't know, be a little bit different. Make them be different. Other weird details you could add, you know, like shouldn't the spine be like bumped out, or you know, there would be some other little bit of spine or something, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. I mean, I don't know. You know what? Now that I've said it, this is always what happens. I think all I really need to do to get the effect is to have a slightly thicker. Let me see. Does holding shift? No. See, it still wants to snap even when I hold shift. So it's like sometimes the button is the thing you want, and sometimes it's not. Yeah, but here shift is doing what I want. So whatever. Again, it's free. It's got a slightly janky UI. Fine. I'll learn it. So I don't know, just giving a slightly thicker left, maybe I'm hoping gives the effect of the thicker spine. That's a little wonky. I don't know, but then I'm feeling that maybe it really doesn't. Well, I think it does, right? I don't know. I think that does. Okay, so to make this angle or this end do what I want, I'm just going to bring it in, and then we'll have an edge that we can control. Okay. Actually, yeah, that's perfect. And maybe I'll even bring it out a little more. Okay. Okay, so now it has like a thicker... There, it looks different. It looks different from other books, which is, again, well, I don't know. They should all be a little different. I think I spent way more work on this than I would have if I wasn't talking, but you've seen me now do a variety of weird techniques maybe with this program to draw the images, and this is how they're drawn. I guess, I don't know, do we want to see it in the game? Yeah, let's see it in the game. So save as, and yeah, this part is a little bit important, so I'll show you this as well. So let me see, I don't remember what I called it in my database, the graphic, or I can just look here. So what image is it trying to load? It is trying to load Candy-Maker in the book folder. So Candy-Maker, and this took me a while to learn. We don't want to save it as an Inkscape SVG because that's full of like all this crazy metadata. So like the weird thing I was showing you when I opened that other book where it was like grouped in odd ways, this it will save your exact grouping if you save as an Inkscape SVG because it saves tons of extra data. But if you save as an optimized SVG, it like regroups things into whatever it thinks it needs to make the file, I don't know, smaller or faster to render. I don't know how exactly they're optimizing, but very importantly, it removes all the crazy metadata. There's just like tons and tons and tons of it. If you save it as a plain SVG, it blows up the file to be like 2 or 3 times the size. It's still way smaller than an image, but it's like I don't need that, right? Like I want these files to be as small as they can, and this isn't as easy as selecting the right thing from the dropdown. And yes, if I have to reopen it and edit it, it'll be a little funny in terms of the grouping or whatever, but like that's easy enough to deal with, and I rarely have to reopen the graphics. An alternative you could do, and what I did with Fireworks, because Fireworks only exports to images, you would totally lose all your vector data. But you can save it. It has a similar format. It's like, oh, this is a fireworks PNG, and that contains all your vector data. So what I did for SciPets was I had a folder that I called dev, like ~dev. I started that convention, I don't know, back in college when I was doing stuff with fireworks. I don't know, or just in general. But anyway, I would save one copy that was the fireworks image with all the SVG stuff, and then have the output image, the final output would be in the proper place that it's needed to go on the web. For these, because the editing and the final product are similar enough, and again, I can just open up the optimized SVG in Inkscape and it still is fine. It just, maybe the grouping is a little funny. I don't even bother anymore with that. I just have one copy of the file. It's the optimized SVG. And you just got to remember to resave as optimized SVG, because it always wants to default to their special format, which, I don't know, fair enough. Or maybe I can change that. I don't know. Maybe there's a way you can change the default. So anyway, I'm going to save the Candy Maker book. It has like all these crazy options, and these it does remember from save to save, so I don't change it anymore. But yeah, collapsing groups, I think that's part of what it does. Yeah, keeping, I don't know, some of these were set up differently, so I checked things to remove. I was like, no, I don't. You don't need metadata or comments or something. I don't remember how the original checkboxes were, but the first couple times I almost feel like I had to put different preferences, but then it remembered. I feel like it was more than once, but I don't know, like, that would be a really weird thing to program, where it's like, well, if you save the checkbox the same way 3 times, then I guess you really mean it, right? Like, I can't imagine them doing that, but maybe that's what it was, or maybe I'm not remembering properly. I don't know. Or maybe I did something else weird to somehow undo. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. If you do want to use Fireworks, just look through this yourself, and you can play with it. And I'll show you what the text file looks like as well. So anyway, let's save this file. And yeah, close that. Saving is fine. Again, they want to save in they're like, but what, you didn't save it in the format that'll tell me more things. So just an interesting thing with, I'm using Angular, sorry, it's over here. Angular, when you run it locally, isn't going to catch on to that image file immediately, so I need to restart it. It's keeping a list of all the files. I do know why it's happening. So whatever, Angular is a whole other thing. The last programming video, we didn't talk about Angular at all. It was all on the back end for making pets have favorite flavors. There was work I did later on that goes on what you see, which I've since posted about, right, that isn't in that video. But anyway, I don't know. Probably I'll do another video where I do something more front end to show how this works. But anyway, it's not going to know about a brand new image file. It will know if I made changes, and then it would automatically reload. But anyway, let's see it. We should now see the nice image. Here's all the things my pets have been up to. Great. Think. And my local one goes so much slower. The full game is much faster. So here it is, the Candy Maker's Cookbook. And we should also be able to see it in the bookstore. Yep. And I am curious if we get, so I don't know, that's the size it looks in the game, right? So you can see these are the different books. I've tried to make them look a little different, right? These two were obviously the same template, but I wanted to make this one. And this one, I was like, oh, it's the big books. I'm going to give it like a thick, cardboard cover and, all this stuff, and a very visible spine. So I tried to make it look really big and chunky. And I'm just curious to look in the encyclopedia where we can get the bigger view, what it looks like at that size. I don't think there's going to be any, horrible, I don't know, just to double check that everything looks good at all the scales you see it in. That's fine. I mean, I don't know. Is that a little wonky? Could that have a little curve on the side? Yeah, probably, but I don't know. I'm not that worried about it. Yeah, good. I don't usually do lines like that. I kind of don't like it, but I'm not going to change it. So let's look at what, like I said, I said I would show you what it looks like in the thing. So here's just a text editor. Where is, okay, here it is. Yeah, we want the Candy Maker book. So this is what it looks like in text, right? And you could see I could come in here and change the fills for these various areas. Transform, this is positioning it somehow. Here's the width of the stroke. I'm surprised it's not just 1. But this might be scaled according to something else, because they also keep they've decided that the canvas size is 8.4667 something, I don't know. Oh, but it's 32 pixels by 32 pixels, right? So I don't know how exactly it's doing these various number conversions. Thankfully, I don't need to, because it figures that stuff out for me. I mean, if I was super concerned about space, maybe I would want to specifically pick canvas sizes to where a 1 really was a 1 or something, rather than a 1 being 0.97, whatever. That's kind of wonky, but whatever. I feel this is just fine. All the curve data, again, is somewhere in here. And I, at one time, have learned how to write SVGs plain, back when I was doing some visualization stuff in JavaScript. There's this library called D3, and I had to learn how to do straight lines at least. How you do curves and stuff, I have no clue. But anyway, so this is what it looks like, right? And the great thing about text is you can compress this really well. That's not something I do manually. That's something that Amazon takes care of for me. But when you compress this, it's going to compress super small. Or if I need to come in here modify, and this is how it's modified by the pet, so I can show you a pet graphic too. And a little bit about how I did that. So let's get the Desic, classic Desic. A little simpler, but there is a fill color here, but I also gave these paths a class. And a class is, I mean, if you've done any HTML or CSS stuff, it's the same thing. You can use HTML styling to apply rules to SVG. So I have given these a class, and then I can override whatever the fill color is. So this is the default, and the default is what you see when you go here and look at the graphics. Those are all, that's the default Desic color, cotton candy color, whatever. But when you are signing up for an account, I just change using sneaky JavaScript, and it's a little wonky, unfortunately, to edit in SVG. I still wonder if there's a better way I could do it, but it's performing fine right now. But anyway, yeah, by using some clever JavaScript and CSS, you can override the fill if it has a class color A and color B, and so that's all it is. Every pet has a color A and color B, that's it, and it applies to some shape, and it just replaces the fill for those shapes, or multiple shapes, right? Like the guys with feet, like this guy. He's got 2 wings, right? So each wing is going to have color B or something, and this is color A for that fill. Things like that, right? Roundish, same thing. Color A, color A, color A, color B, color B. So anyway, that's how I do the graphics for this game. I was right, it was much shorter. I honestly, I was like, it'll probably only be 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It's been 40. So yeah, I hope this was interesting. I think now that I've done this, I'm like, oh yeah, I should like cover totally different parts of the game from video to video, right? Like coding is one thing, but probably not very approachable. Graphics, a lot of people, right? You can download Inkscape now and start playing around and making graphics, right? Whereas like the stuff I showed you with my programming, there's no way that you could just, oh yeah, I'll just do that, right? Like there's a lot more to learn there. So this is more approachable, which I think is interesting. And there are other aspects of the thing. I mean, I've mentioned I'm using Amazon and S3, and I could show how I deploy that stuff. That's conceivably a thing I could talk about. There's a lot of aspects to making this game work, or to making any modern web app work, that I could go over. So yeah, I'll try to do that. That sounds like an interesting thing. But I'll also, programming is my strongest suit. Like, yeah, I can make graphics. Yeah, lots of people can make way better graphics than I can, right? Like I'm on the bottom something percent of graphics makers, but programming, that's my specialty. Like I would feel comfortable saying I'm an above average programmer, but a below average graphic artist, right? So anyway, what I'm saying is programming is still going to be a thing that I'm going to do a lot of on these videos. So hopefully those are interesting, because I'm going to keep doing them. Or I'll just stop recording them, honestly. I'll just code on my own. But anyway, thanks as always for watching, and yeah, maybe you'll watch the next one, maybe not. And I'll continue to do also just the talking about me with, where you see my face on an actual camera. I'm going to do those kinds of videos as well, of course. So yeah, I don't know, whatever it is you like watching, watch it. Whatever it is you don't like, then don't. Just like in real life. Thank you again, and goodbye.